Good morning, Tina Traster.
Good morning, Steve. How are you today on this fine day?
I'm all right, thank you.
Good to hear it.
How are you, Jeff?
I'm very good, thank you. Tina, yourself? Doing
Good morning,
well?
Jeff.
Good morning.
I haven't spoken to you in a little bit.
I usually
Don't take
go
it
in
personally.
I usually go in and record the news during your spot. That's when I have a little break to do that for the rest of the day.
Oh, well, we miss you. I miss you when you're not
I'm
there.
here today, so let's take advantage of me as best we can.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk about the Suez Saga because this past week it took a very interesting turn, and I think I want to elevate this conversation to, if we were professors in economics or business classes, how would we look at this as a case study? Okay, so let me first tell you, what the news was, if you don't already know. I'm sure you do because you read my publication. But
We do.
at the meeting on, what night was that? Wednesday night at the planning board meeting. It was the fourth hearing, and, large crowds once again came out and implored the planning board to require a SECRA review, which simply means that above and beyond whatever the town engineer and the town experts have looked at, people want greater scrutiny because they have raised several environmental issues. Tilcon, on the other side, maintains it has an as of right to build this extra garage and to pave 60,000 square feet of now forest into a permeable surface.
Do you mean Suez?
Yeah, what did I just say?
Tilcon.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
It's Tilcon's site, but it's Suez
yeah.
wants to do it.
Sorry, Suez. So the meeting was another one of these. It was it was unruly. It was chaotic, and also there were only 6 members there because Gil Heim was not sitting on
Does this all stem from the migration into the new building? I'm losing something here.
Yeah, so Steve, what this is really about is they plan to move into the new building, but that's not all. The application also involves building I think it's a 10,000 square foot garage, and also paving what essentially is the size of a football field for parking and their vehicles. And what the residents are upset about and concerned about is that when you take all of that surface and you turn that into something impermeable, which will naturally be covered with gasoline and carbon black and all these other environmentally problematic elements, that there's the potential, particularly with our the way we get these violent storms now, for that to run off into the reservoir. Tilcon argues that they've sorted that out.
Suez, you mean?
Sorry. Stop it. Suez says that they've sorted that out. And the truth is that really until Wednesday night, this thing has seemed to be at a standstill. Until, and to everybody's shock, the planning board finally took a vote as to whether or not to require SECRA. And it split 3-3. And then the vice chair, who was leading the meeting, said that they needed the fourth voter, which was Gil Heim. Oddly, after the meeting adjourned, after it was over, Gil Heim was seen at the back of the room. He said that when I asked him, he said that he had a conflict of interest and he had only just arrived, which was just a strange aside. Just made a strange night stranger.
What does that mean? He had a conflict of interest in his schedule.
Yeah, in his schedule.
What does that mean?
I have no idea. I mean, I have
Probably
no idea.
he had somewhere else to go.
I guess he had somewhere else to go, but there he was in the back of the room right after the vote had been taken. So I think this is uncharted territory for the planning board and really what would come next. But here's what I wanted to throw out there, and we can discuss it. You're a corporation, you're a multinational corporation, you're doing business in a small community. you have the advantage of being the only provider of the service, so you don't have to worry that customers say, I'm fed up with Suez, I think I'll turn my faucet off. You know, they, as a business, they know that they have that advantage, which is that, you know, competition doesn't enter into this equation. But on the other hand, at this juncture, what does a corporation do? Do they take to heart some of the specific suggestions, which include, and this is what I think is important. Yes, they have a plan. Yes, I'm sure they've spent thousands on engineering plans, and they've dug in and they've said that they're coming to this site. But what the environmentalists and the environmental attorneys and the residents are suggesting are things like, instead of an impermeable surface, why not use a permeable surface so that the water will, you know, go down rather than flow into the reservoir? People are suggesting potentially a very high berm so that it completely, you know, kind of moats off the property. They're suggesting, hey, this is like I think it's a 13-acre piece of land. Why not move that parking lot so that the water flow is in a place where it goes downhill toward their property as opposed to downhill toward the reservoir. And then the other issue that has come up more recently is, you know, it was revealed that they're going to do a diesel-powered generator, and, you know, again, even the board has said to them, well, can you find an alternative power source, you know, water, wind, whatever, or natural gas, and they've come back and they've said, no, it's too expensive. So I think what's interesting here is that, you know, as a corporation doing business in a small community, I know that they have already made the compromise of removing 2 fuel tanks, but it seems at this juncture, with a 3-3 vote, with 1 vote to, you know, I don't know which way Gilheim will go, and with so much delay, I think it's just an interesting case study to see, you know, what this corporation will do next.
Well, if we look to North Rockland as a case study, Legoland said, well, you know what, you guys don't want us here. We're going to move out, and we're going to go to the town of Goshen, where they're going to accept us, and now they're going to get the tax revenues that Stony Point would have gotten. I mean, that's at the worst end of the scale. That could happen.
I think it won't.
No, it's unlike the Suez is going to.
I mean, Suez has been here. The difference is that they've been here 50 years. Yeah. Legoland was passing through and just, you know, scouting for a site. So not exactly apples to apples there.
No, I'm not saying it is, but I mean, at what point, like you said, at what point does the straw break the camel's back, and they say, you know what, we've invested too much time and effort into this. We have a plan B, and I don't know that they have a plan B. I don't know that. Maybe they do, but if they have to go to plan B, maybe they end up going to plan B. I have no idea.
Well, perhaps, or maybe seeing that. Maybe seeing that the that what the residents are looking for, I think, is some more environmental compromise rather than you know, I think that the residents are not moving into their corner of the boxing ring and saying no. They're saying,
are they in the building yet?
No, they signed a 30-year lease on the Tilcon site.
Mm-hmm.
Their building, okay, originally they had said in a public hearing that their building was, I believe they had said, under contract for sale. But I had noticed on, I think it was LoopNet, that the listing seemed to go back up, and so perhaps the original purchaser...
The deal fell through.
Yeah, maybe, and that maybe there's somebody else that's looking at their, you know, their site on West Nyack now. So I think, and plus, I know that they are already deep into construction on the Tilcon site, putting in a sewer, you know, the sewer system, and they've cleared a ton of trees already, and there's already a construction company on site building for them. So, you know, they could keep pressing. Certainly, they could keep pressing. But I think what changed on Wednesday night is they see that they've got 3-3 vote right now and that there's one vote in the balance, and that is Gil Heim. Now,
I don't remember too many things anymore, but I thought they had come to an agreement about not putting the diesel generator there.
Yeah, no, they didn't. No,
those are the fuel tanks that they did.
Fuel
Yeah,
tanks,
those are fuel
okay,
tanks,
all right.
yeah.
I knew I got it half right.
They did come to an agreement on those, right?
All right.
They removed the 2 fuel tanks, but then they surprised everybody, seemingly including the planning board, with the fact that they were going to need to I guess, purchase and install a new generator, which would be powered by diesel, and that just, opened up the wound again for the community, and the board too. The board too said to them, go back to the drawing board and see how you can do this, with.
Now, would that only operate during a power failure?
Yeah. I mean,
Well, then I don't.
Yeah. So, look, I mean, this is where it stands, and I just think it's very interesting to watch how a corporation functions in a situation like this. It's easy to cry, oh, crazy environmentalist tree huggers, but I think even the planning board, has maybe found the speed bump to say, well, some of the ideas that are coming forth, it's not just people, crying about bog turtles and bald eagles. It's people, coming forward and saying, there are some very practical solutions that the company can consider before it just, plows forward with potentially, riskier methods. I mean, I think that's how it boiled down to a 3-3 vote the other night, because I think. These people keep their cards close to the vest, and you don't know how they're going to vote or what they're even thinking, especially because during most of the hearings, most of the board members, cede to the chair, or in this case, the vice chair, and they ask very few questions, so you really don't know what they're thinking, what's in their mind. So it was as drama goes, it was a very dramatic moment when that vote was taken, and what it showed was that half the board understands that this is a sort of a one-time application with potential implications for the reservoir, and I guess they put the brakes on, and they could see that additional environmental review is not egregious. And like I said, so there's one vote that hangs in the balance. It's a very interesting case study to watch in terms of how a corporation.
They're gonna buy this property or lease it.
Lease it for 30 years. Apparently, they've already signed the lease on the Tilcon site.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's there are a lot of factors here, and people just unless you're paying attention to these issues like we do. People just they hear sound bites and they formulate an opinion.
We got to leave because Listen Up Rockland is coming up next, but they can find all this in
on
rcbizjournal.com. And so I would imagine you've got as detailed information as you just gave us here.
Even more so.
All right, Tina, thank you.
Thank you. Have a